Let's start with Cian's red card first. This was last week when Leinster played Ulster. We see that number 2 of Ulster gets the ball. He runs into the defensive line. Cian Healy is there to make the tackle. He then tackles high, and in the process, there is head-to-head contact between Cian Healy and Ulster number 2. The referee did not spot it at first, but it was checked later. Later in the game, at the water break, we see the result of the tackle. We see Ulster number 2 getting looked at, and it's quite clear that the hit did some damage. This made the referee look at the incident, and I've got to say, he handled it perfectly. The majority of fans, even Leinster fans, agreed that this was a red card. There is really not much to add to that.
Well, let's follow the process here.
Okay, so this is it. Okay, so point of contact is head on head, that's correct, isn't it,
Yes,
Kitty?
thank you.
Okay, we can confirm foul play because he definitely could have been lower.
I'll get you a full speed one,
Show me
Christoph,
a full speed,
now.
please,
Yeah.
so we can measure danger. Okay, it's definitely an offensive tackle, so it is a high level of danger, is what I'm saying.
I'll get you a wider angle on that now.
So all we're looking at now is whether there's any mitigation. So is there a significant change in direction or change
Here's
in
the
height?
one for you.
And the answer to that is no in my eyes. So
Agree.
Kitty, let's establish the facts together. It's direct head-on-head contact.
Agree.
It is foul play, he could have been lower.
Agree.
It's a high level of danger, offensive tackle.
Agree.
And there is no mitigation, so we're talking red card.
Agree.
Okay.
There's Cian Healy is going to be shown a red card by Christoph Ridley, the referee, for a head-on-head collision with Tom Stewart, at which the officials deemed there was no mitigation, high level of danger.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the referee and his team went through that step by step.
As you could hear, the ref explained the entire process pretty well. It's hard not to agree with his conclusion, which was a red card. Then later in the week, the URC randomly decides to overturn the decision. They don't even give a clear explanation. They basically just say there was mitigating factors, which of course was a lie. Unless playing for Leinster counts as a mitigating factor, which wouldn't surprise me honestly. But it sure would be nice if SA teams got that same privilege. This is the statement that was released by the URC regarding Cian Healy's disciplinary decision. First, I want you to look at Robert Milligan. He was the same guy who completely messed up Nche's hearing. It's always the same guys making the same mistakes. There is no accountability. They can simply do what they want. It's a joke. Now look at their reasoning for downgrading Cian Healy's red card. In true URC fashion, they don't give clear reasoning, because they know it would expose how incompetent they are. The arrogance of the URC to think that fans won't see through their incompetence. They released that statement and thought to themselves that fans would understand and accept the decision. How out of touch and arrogant do you have to be to do something like that? They are probably just too scared to say the truth, which is that the only mitigating factor in Cian's case was that he played for Leinster. Now let's look at the Nche red card versus Harlequins. It's almost the exact same type of tackle, but it did not do nearly as much damage as Cian Healy's hit. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it should not have been a red card, I'm just pointing out that Cian's tackle was worse, yet he got his red card downgraded, which basically means, according to the URC, this should not be a red card. Let's look at the tackle in normal speed. It happened so fast that it looks like a normal tackle. The ref missed it at first, but later on, they went on to check it.
Up against this Harlequin side today.
Time is off. Tu as le pas le ralenti.
They do want to check it. Thomas Sharabat is our TMO.
White is ball carrier.
Our South African production team now very busily
trying to delete something. Here we go.
This is the angle.
He's upright. He's always upright. That's head on head.
Okay.
So it's going to be more than a penalty because there's force. He is low, isn't he, Walker? He does.
Tête-tête entre le 1 noir et le 2 bleu. Pour
Yeah,
moi,
agree.
le 1 noir est toujours illégal. Il est droit et dynamique. Le degré de dangerosité est élevé.
Comes with
Pour
force.
l'instant,
I think it
sur un
starts
carton
at a
rouge,
red.
Ce qu'on va vérifier, c'est une potentielle mitigation. Est-ce qu'il y a un changement de hauteur, par exemple, sur le
So is there a change of height?
So it's force.
Okay.
Always upright.
I just want
Starts
to
at
add
red.
one thing. In this incident, I think you can make a very strong argument that there was more mitigation than the Cian Healy incident. I want to make it clear, I still think it's a red card in today's game. I'm just saying, Cian Healy's tackle was way worse than this tackle. Both should be red. Yet, Cian Healy gets his red card downgraded. It's honestly mind-boggling.
Okay,
The chest.
so we had a head contact, full play, level of danger, high level of danger, and I don't see any mitigation against number 1, so it's a red card against number 1, and the PK restart is on the on the 40.
He didn't drop, and there is no
Okay.
step inside.
The opening 24 hours of this season's Heineken Champions Cup have already brought us
Number 1.
2 red cards. Agustin Creevy last night in London.
Direct contact to the head, it's a high level of danger, no mitigation, it's a red card.
Nche this afternoon in Durban.
As we know from the last few years in rugby, these types of tackles are red card infringements. Thus, we can't really argue with the red card verdict from the ref. But here is my issue. I can promise you now that Ox will get suspended for foul play. Even though his tackle is literally the exact same type of tackle as Cian Healy's, I just know the disciplinary panel is going to ignore the fact that Cian's red card got downgraded. Because the one mitigating factor that Ox does not have is that he does not play for Leinster. Unfortunately, he plays for a team in Africa, which counts against you when these Northern Hemisphere members of the disciplinary panel review your case. The Sharks will just waste their time if they appeal it. We've seen how these hearings go when you are a Southern Hemisphere team. So I have shown you both tackles. I think we can all agree that both of those tackles look very similar. Thus, I think it would be fair if we as fans expect both of them to have the same sanction. If Cian Healy gets his red card downgraded to yellow card, I think it is only fair that the same happens to Nche. But for some reason, I just don't see that happening.